Ackerman Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Ackerman's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at ackermanresources.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Rick Ackerman, editor of the newsletter Rick's Picks, his website rickackerman.com. Welcome back to the show, Rick, and best of the season.
Thanks for inviting me on, Jim. It is always a pleasure.
Rick, small caps have been leading the charge since March. Why is that?
Well, it's really because of because insanity has propelled this whole move. You know, the irony of the small caps, represented in particular by the Russell 2000, the fact that they've advanced more than 100% since March is kind of an anomaly that is lost on Wall Street. You know, I think most people are aware that even though we've got these corporate behemoths, that by and large, most of the employment in this country and most of the economic activity, most of the revenues are produced by small business. And we've seen just a wholesale collapse of small business, just to take one sector, the restaurant sector, and see how employment in restaurants kind of radiates out to, dishwashers who can no longer pay their rent. It's really a very big thing. But that's, as I said, lost on Wall Street. So we've got the small caps have gone bananas, mainly because the chimpanzees who were charged with investing other people's money, they don't so much decide or use anything like intelligence to decide what they're going to, jump on. They just sort of exploit themes, and the theme has been, hey, we bought these mega cap stocks like Apple and Google, glorified advertising agencies like Facebook and Google, up into the ionosphere. Isn't it time we focused on making something else ridiculously overvalued? So that's the theme that has pushed these small caps up beyond the point of absurdity.
How much does the market reflect what's actually happening in the economy?
Well, I think it used to be sort of an inside joke on Wall Street that the market is totally detached from the economy, but that fact is it's obvious to everybody, especially an unemployed waitress who sees the stock market going bananas, and the working man sort of senses by now the disconnect between Wall Street and what's going on in the stock market.
Is the $600 check for the average person enough of a stimulus to get them through this?
I think you need to look at it sort of in the bigger picture. One of my colleagues, Charles Hugh Smith, he writes a great letter every Saturday called Of Two Minds. He points out the difference between liquidity and solvency. And, you take the example, when you're supporting people who don't have the ability to pay down debt, then you have to keep piling on more and more debt just to keep them solvent. And that's happened on an epic scale in our economy right now. We've got all these support packages, but if you extrapolate them out just a little ways, you see where they all have to fail. The idea is, in theory, that the economy will get stimulated back to the point of strength where these debts can be repaid. But the simple fact is that the more borrowing that's done, the greater the weight of the greater the weight of debt. So we're sort of burying ourselves, and I think that it's good that that these, from an economic standpoint, it's good that these checks are going out, but we shouldn't kid ourselves that they're going to be more than a stopgap. And I think it's okay, at a philosophic level, that the working man get at least these crumbs, because we see big business just sort of stealing everything they can at this point, and essentially dominating markets, consolidating their monopoly stranglehold, and of course paychecks at the top of the corporate chain definitely favor the rich and the super rich. So I think it's good, really, if they want to send out checks to working stiffs, it's fine with me.
We'll have more with Rick Ackerman right after this.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Value from success. Growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Rick Ackerman. Rick, what do you see ahead for gold and silver in the first quarter of the new year?
Well, I think bullion has been marking time in the context of a larger bull market. And the bad news is that I think whatever it's going to take to propel bullion into a major bull market is not going to go down too easily. It implies perhaps a global crisis. And also, there are no guarantees there. I've said for a long time that the big crisis that's coming, or more than a crisis, a collapse, would be deflationary. And under the circumstances, I don't expect gold to soar to anything like $10,000 an ounce, much less $50,000. But I'm pretty sure that it's going to hold its purchasing power. So gold is just kind of holding its own. It's disfavored really in the speculative world. You got the Robin Hoodies and even the big guys like Paul Tudor Jones, casting their lot with Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin is getting all the speculative action right now that might ordinarily feed into gold and silver.
Is Bitcoin near peaking, or is it going to continue to be a phenomena?
No, I don't see it near peaking. In fact, last week's amazing spike went through some of what I call hidden pivot targets. And when they get through these targets as easily as they did, it suggests that the pullback is merely corrective. So it's not hard for me to imagine Bitcoin at 30,000. It's gone, just kind of poked above 20 recently to new all-time highs. But there's still a lot of speculative juice in Bitcoin, and I think the bull market has a ways to go.
Is Bitcoin popular because people can trade it on their cell phone, and it's attractive to people who are very computer savvy but may not have any idea about mining or gold mining?
No, I think it's attractive because it's like the new thing. It's not weighted down with the baggage of thousands of years of gold history, and I think just the gold story has tired out the gold bugs, and Bitcoin is certainly it's an easy sale to a generation that was raised on digital everything. So why not digital money? Of course, they're ignoring certain facts that Bitcoin initially was going to be this great medium for paying for small purchases, and we've discovered that the cost of processing a Bitcoin transaction makes small purchases difficult. We're really we're getting some Bitcoin innovation, I guess, that will make that possible. But Bitcoin has really failed as money. It's just, at this point, it's 95% speculative vehicle and 5% whatever the Bitcoin, nuts proclaim it to be.
We'll have more with Rick Ackerman right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Rick Ackerman. Rick, what's going on with the U.S. dollar?
It's certainly staggering under the load of stimulus. I wouldn't say that it's collapsed, but I'm looking at long-term trend lines, and I think one we may have discussed earlier was a weekly trend line that stretched back many years. It's been broken. So the dollar has at least temporarily, this temporary is going on for some time, but I see the dollar's weakness as just a phase that in the end we're going to be dealing with a dollar made strong because of organic reasons. You know, we're eventually going to accumulate so much debt that interest rates will rise, and as interest rates rise, the dollar will strengthen, but also as a safe haven and as well as being the only medium of exchange capable of facilitating a global financial shell game that aggregates into the quadrillions of dollars. Well, we need dollars for things like that, and so the dollar is still boss. But when I talk of a resumption of the bull market in the dollar, it's really going to happen from factors that are deflationary, from the fact that everybody who has incurred debt in dollars is not going to be able to skip out on that debt through the easy mechanism of hyperinflation.
When we have a deflationary economy, what kind of effect does that have on the average person? Well,
I think we'll tend more toward barter because dollars will be scarce, and you know, I'm talking about kind of an apocalyptic economic landscape, but for me, that's the only possible course we have. You know, 20 years ago when I was saying the same thing, or even 30 years ago, I lacked the imagination to see how far bent out of shape things could go, how grand the delusion could become before things finally collapse. So I think we're really in the final stages of it now. You can look at it from 20 different angles, whether it's how stocks or, you know, S&P stocks are priced at close to 40 times trailing earnings, things like that. The valuations are so out of whack. But also, we have at a global level malinvestment on an epic scale. All the money is going not toward productive uses, but toward towards into speculative ideas. So I really think we're pretty close, and you know, we've talked about one factor that's going to drive the end game, and that is the productivity of debt, meaning that it's taking more and more stimulus, you know, borrowed stimulus dollars to create a dollar's worth of economic growth. And I think the number that Lacey Hunt put out about a month ago was something like $3.40 of borrowing to generate a dollar's worth of growth. And of course, if you looked at that growth even closely, you discover that it's not the kind of growth that's going to produce great real wealth over time. It's all illusory. So I think we're getting pretty close.
Now, China is not keen on Bitcoin at all. They've said they have banned it, although it's still being used there. Is that one of the risks of using a cryptocurrency? A government can say it's banned unless you use our brand of electronic money?
Well, government has always claimed the money franchise for itself, and there's this illusion that everybody with Bitcoin is going to be able to operate off the fringes of a centralized money system, but that can't happen. It's just not going to happen any more than warehouse receipts for gold stored in safes became paper money that circulated locally. The government's always going to usurp the monetary franchise, and if Bitcoin gets in its way, all those with delusions about staying out of government's reach with Bitcoin are going to be shattered. And that's even true. There were a couple companies that were offering barter systems. One was called Bay Area Barter. When I lived out in San Francisco, I was kind of peripherally involved with it, but a key aspect of Bay Area Barter was that all the transactions had to be strictly taxable. So, in one case, there was a clothing store on Irving Street that was trading clothing and antique watches for carpentry. The carpenters came in and they built some shelving and display cases and things for the store, and the store traded goods. But those transactions were all taxable, and Bay Area Barter was sort of an intermediary that kept track of all the transactions. So nothing is, you couldn't have something that's more exposed to auditing than Bitcoin. So I think eventually, just at the point where you think Bitcoin would take off, it's going to come to be, let's say, regulated or co-opted by big government.
Rick, any areas that you think will be special going into the new year?
Well, I think you have to stick with, just follow the money. We've got a little bit of a speculative frenzy probably remaining in the biotech stocks as long as there's hope for a vaccine and things that kind of branch out from vaccines. It's going to generate speculative flows in that sector and in healthcare in general. But I have to say the pickings are mighty slim. Either you kind of get immersed in the speculative mania, or you sit out of it in cash or near cash.
Rick, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Well, again, thanks for inviting me on, Jim. It's always a pleasure to talk with you.
My guest has been Rick Ackerman, editor of the newsletter Rick's Picks, his website, rickackerman.com. If you have any questions for Rick or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. Best of the season, everyone. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.